everyone. If you don't know, my name is Michaela Warrior B. I'm a makeup artist and body painter based here in New York, but I'm originally from the west coast of Africa, Liberia, and Nigeria. So today we are going to talk about Juvia's Place I Am Magic Foundation. If you're not familiar with Juvia's Place, it is a really great brand that launched a couple of years ago with basically eyeshadow palettes, but the difference in what they were doing was that their brand identity and aesthetic was heavily centered on kind of this Nubian goddess, African-centered graphics and those types of things. And this foundation, the I Am Magic Je suis Magique foundation, is their first foray into complexion. I was very blessed to receive the full collection of their complexion product. They've done a foundation and a concealer and a powder. We really just are going to talk about the foundation and the powder today. But I've been playing with the foundation. I got it a couple of weeks ago. I've swiped most of the colors because there's 42 shades. I've applied it to others. I applied it to myself. That's what I'm actually wearing today, etc. And then I really wanted to share with you guys what my feedback on it was, because what I've noticed is I see a lot of consumers and makeup enthusiasts using this foundation, but I really hadn't heard any pro makeup artists talk about it, and I really wanted to give a pro perspective on the product. So here we go. So first things first, as I mentioned, it's called the I Am Magic Foundation. Comes in a nice little box like this. Very cute. It comes in 42 shades. The shades, the way they're numbered, it goes from 100 to 700 and something, and the 100s are the darkest shades, and then the 700s are the lightest shades. Most brands, the higher you go in number, the darker, but for Juvia's Place, the higher you go in number, the lighter, and the darkest shades, or the darkest shade, is actually 100. So that's the first thing. Other things I want to say about the foundation, it's supposed to be a velvety matte foundation. It is very much that. I was extremely impressed by the texture and just quality of this foundation. Upon reading the box, I was very surprised to find out that it is actually made in Italy. It's a very buttery, creamy, delicious texture. It's super spreadable. A little bit goes a long way. It's really a beautiful formula. I was really loving it when I put it on. I will say it's a little bit on the heavier side. I'm a girl, for my personal use, I really love a very dewy, light to medium coverage foundation. But, sometimes in my work, I need something that's going to give a good beat. And this is definitely going to give you a good paint. This is for the girls that like a good paint. But you very well could sheer it out with a very heavy, emollient cream type product, or even a dry oil, something like a squalene or something. I think would give a really beautiful, more sheer application. But it is an absolutely full coverage foundation, but it has this really beautiful, as you can see, kind of matte velvet radiant finish to it. Now, I actually didn't set my face with any powder whatsoever. This is a self-setting foundation, and we'll talk a little bit about ingredients, and I'll tell you some of what is making it self-setting in there. But it's a self-setting foundation. I'm having no transfer whatsoever without setting it with any powder. And it definitely starts to snatch and grab onto the skin. This is extremely long wearing. It is going to stand up against some very high and humid heat, because it is literally gripping and holding onto the skin. So for all my, women of color, basically black girls especially, in Lagos, in, Gabon, in Burkina Faso, places that these foundations are actually named after, this is perfect for you. The girls that are in the deep South, North Carolina, South Carolina, Mississippi, all those places, or the people that are up north in New York, that's just a humid as hell northern city. This is a really great formula to stand up against the humidity, the heat, the sweating. For people that are doing brides, etc., this is a really great formula for longevity, etc. So I was loving it in terms of that, and I'm really excited to explore more how I can manipulate this foundation, because something that is this dense, and it's a silicone base, and we'll talk why that even matters, something that's this dense, it gives you a lot of flexibility on how you can manipulate the foundation. So I'm really excited to try to push it to a more editorial space. Ingredients. So it's a water silicone emulsion. That's really kind of following the wave of what a lot of people are doing with their foundations now, not going fully silicone, not really going fully water, and using the advancements in cosmetic technology to be able to combine two ingredients that previously could not exist together. The silicone it uses is dimethicone, so that's like a smoothing, blurring silicone. Really popular in a lot of formulas now. I believe the Makeup Forever Ultra HD liquid as well as stick foundations are both dimethicone. And then it has another ingredient called isododecane. Isododecane is really great for longevity. It helps to like grip, but it also helps to make things super spreadable. I love all those things about it. I was really surprised and taken aback by the texture, how like elevated it felt, and it's no shade, no tea to the people at Juvia's place, but the truth of the matter is that it's not a prestige brand, so I didn't expect the foundation to feel as luxurious as it does. So that's the first thing. So let's talk about other things that stood out to me. And I have my notepad because, you know, I have a lot to say and I need to keep track of my thoughts. So, packaging, right? So as I showed you, it comes in this very like simple box, you know, expected. But then when you open the box, this is what the foundation comes in. Okay. You might love the color orange. I do. As you can see, I'm wearing orange now. I like an orange tone red lipstick. I'm here for it. But baby, how are we gonna see what the colors are? There is no window to show you like what shade this is. Only on the back, on a sticker, which will more than likely start to move, is the name and corresponding number. This is my primary issue with this foundation. It really made it difficult for me to even like start working with it because it was like a lot of work to like get the shades lined up. I had to go on their website, you know, like it's a lot. And I know it has the numbers, but it's always helpful, I believe, in cosmetics like packaging for us to have a window, see what the shade is. You know, it doesn't have to be a glass bottle, even if that's like, you know, too expensive in terms of production costs. But could it not have like a clear window right here, or just make this whole bottle clear? Mind you, it's crazy because the concealers are in glass bottles, so you see those, but the foundations are in these opaque tubes with a little name right there. That was problematic for me. I really think they need to rethink that when they're going through the next batch. Cosmetic companies repackage all the time. Juvia's, I love y'all. Please repackage this. Literally, this packaging is just not user-friendly at all on a pro or consumer level. And I think it would just make it so much easier for people to shade match and work with your foundations if they just could see what each shade sort of looks like. So other things or other points I want to make or things I want to touch on, I felt that these oxidized quite a bit as I started working with the foundation, swiping them here, and even I played with them a little bit on a model. I felt like the color changed quite a bit. Even what I'm wearing now, after I put it on initially, I was like, ooh, this feels a little light for me. And then it's like basically darkened up to where I want it to be, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I think for a consumer, that can be a really difficult thing for a shade to kind of jump from looking one way when you first swipe it, and then it sets and the color jumps in deepness by like 2 additional shades. So I thought that that was a little off-putting in terms of when I did my swatches. The shades. My favorite were the 4 darkest shades in the 100 range. That Chad, Senegal, Mali, Gabon situation, lovely. They were not too red, they were not too olive, they were like good neutrals, some with warm, some with that. Like, I was loving it. Good, okay? Then we started going to like the 5th deepest shade, and I felt like there was like a pretty large jump. We have like Angola, that's just really like rich, deep brown, like yes, come through, you know, high melanin levels. And then we go to 140 Angola, And I felt like there was a significant jump, and there was like a large chunk of like those deep brown with higher level of red women. You have your girls from Senegal, you have your girls from Mali, your South Sudanese, your Gambian even girls that like are some of the darkest people ever, very Neolithic. But what about that very dark skin that is not quite that dark, but is not like a regular brown skin either? I felt like that was missing. In that 330 to 410 range, all the shades were remarkably yellow. And there was no real variation between something being neutral, leaning more red, some yellow, etc. It was just like everything yellow, some more little olive, I would say, but for the most part, all yellow. And I was like, okay, there's definitely some options missing in here. But I don't find it necessarily surprising because there is a real trend with lots of brown girls, just everybody feeling like they're golden. Everybody's gonna get a yellow highlight. Everybody's got yellow undertones, and that's just not the truth. And I don't think that some of the shade categories are really addressing the nuances in the skin tones of people of color. Ultimately, even though I love the texture of this foundation and that some of the shades were very lovely, there were a lot of shades that are kind of just all over the place. And I think that this is a real issue that happens all the time in cosmetics, is that brands will release, 40 shades, 50 shades, and everybody's so excited and they're like, inclusivity, but then the shades are not good. So we're excited for no reason, because you can release 70 shades, but if only 10 are good, guess what? It doesn't matter. And this is off, I believe the real reason why a lot of brands are not selling the deeper end of their shade range is not because the demographic isn't there to purchase it. It's simply because the shades are bad. Okay? Or just not spot on. So Juvia's, I love you, but I'm not really feeling the shades as much as I would hope that I would feel them. Like as I was swiping, I wasn't getting excited like, oh yes, this is what I've been looking for. Some of them I just didn't understand. So unfortunately for me, they hit the texture right, but they did not get all the shades right. There are definitely some shades that I will be using in my kit, but there are a lot of shades that I'm definitely going to pass on. And speaking of shades, I would be remiss if I did not speak about the powders. So in addition to the foundations, they have an I Am Magic setting powder. Same similar packaging, blah blah blah. The powders though come with a clear element so you can see the powder color. Now this is a somewhat frosted container. Now this is frosted, so you can't thoroughly see the color, but when you do, just look at these in this way, it becomes very interesting, because then you were wondering where exactly are the colors for the deep skin tones. Now I understand this is probably the deepest, then this one, this guy here, and then here. But really, where is the brown with that bit of rich redness? Because this is not just an under eye setting powder or just a translucent, like these are face setting powders too. So I just do not feel comfortable using that. So we're gonna start here. Which is the deepest powder? Namib. Now, granted, I here, brown girl, cannot be the deepest powder color for a line that has complexion products for someone who is South Sudanese. Okay? You can't have something for like an elect whack and then this is the deepest powder. I don't see it. So I'm gonna try it. But I was really disappointed in that. But I know powders are hard. I work in product development and powders are hard. But honey, this is, look, here's the powder tapped out. That is very light. So I have my little Cosette brush here. I'm just gonna dust a little bit on my face. definitely took down the dew. This looks like it works on my skin, but then my question is, if this is working on me, you know, how is it working on the girl that's wearing Chad or the girl that's wearing Sudan? You know, I don't see it. And I mean, I know powders can be very flexible, but honey, I just don't see it. I truly do not. For a full face set? I don't know. I mean, the powder's pretty. Look, I'm smoothed, I'm blurred. You know, it's nice. But I don't know. And I also have a little bit of a question, because if you go on the Juvia's Instagram page, this is what the powders look like. Okay? I know that you see the difference, because I see the difference. So, Juvia, I beg, what's happening with the powders? Okay? We got to work on the shades. I love you guys, but the shades just were not spot on for me. Overall review, I think Juvia's is a really lovely formula for their I Am Magic foundation. However, you will definitely have to do a lot of work to find a shade match for yourself, if there is one that exists within those 42. I'm currently wearing 2 shades, Nairobi and Zaria, which I didn't expect those to be my shades. I mean, you know, we worked it out. I have a Nairobi in the middle of my face and Zaria on the perimeter for some warmth, because, you know, your girl been getting the tan. I've been out in the sun or whatever, hot girl summer. But that's the synopsis on Juvia's Place Foundation. And I'll be back giving you guys more breakdowns on some of the cosmetic products I get through PR packages, things I purchase for myself, or new and exciting things that are in my kit. Until next time, peace.